Welcome back to episode 2 of Mastering Movables with Richard Roses Sr. I cannot wait until I'm saying welcome back to episode 250. If you are a dentist or pros or plan to be one, if you are a dental hygienist, okay, or plan to be one, if you are a dental assistant, dental technician, laboratory owner, or plan to be one, this episode is for you, hands down. Why are patients going through 3 to 4 wax try-ins and their denture still not fitting? How often does that happen? I see it. Our absolute goal should be to nail it in one wax try-in. Whoever you are, whatever position, whatever role that you play in the denture business, okay, you should aim for one wax try-in, hands down, okay? And I found a sure way to do that. I actually went back to my first video and I'm looking at everything. I'm looking at where my hands are, where my eyes are, how much I adjusted in my seat. So I am going to try and fix those errors in this video. And that's just what it is. You know, and you know what? Episode 3, I'm gonna look back at episode 2. And I'm gonna keep going until I get to where I want to be, and that's just the goal, and I love it. With that being said, I do want to also mention too, on the top corner here of every YouTube video that you watch, there's a set your settings button, and you can absolutely go to your playback speed and go double time or 1.5, you know, whatever you choose. But you know, when watching long form videos, I mean, I even do that. If the video is too long, whatever's too long for you, whether it's 15 minutes or 50 minutes, you can double up your playback speed and listen to the whole thing in half the time. So it's pretty cool. You can still hear the words, just, you know, a little bit faster, which, you know, we need nowadays. So I do want to give an absolute shout out to everyone that I had the opportunity to spend some time with at Lab Day Chicago 2026. What a great time. What an amazing time. If you have not had an opportunity to see my episode on Voices from the Bench, I will actually, I think I'll go ahead and I'll post a link below for all you guys. It's on YouTube as well as on Spotify, but they do a great job. I think they do maybe 1 to 2 interviews a week. It's just great workhorses in our industry. And I had the opportunity to be on the show, which was pretty cool. This one here, episode number 2, is one that came to me right away, and why the chair time. And I will dissect and dig more into, you know, what I'm going to go over here in this episode on my curriculum, on my course, my removables course that I'm creating, which you guys will soon be able to get your hands on that. Okay, so what I'm going to go through in this episode, all right, is a top tier full denture workflow, okay, from dental clinic to dental laboratory. So not your traditional quantity over quality type denture, not that denture. This is a top tier, fully aesthetic, functional, great fitting denture. Okay, I'm going to go over the workflow for everyone to hear. For this episode here, we're just going to go over a full upper denture, and this is how to get a full upper denture with the least amount of chair time, okay, and the least amount of money spent by the practice, by the doctors. You know, there are some key elements to the first 2 appointments. So listen up here. We're going to go over all the appointments and why those appointments are necessary. All right. So appointment 1, patient consult, preliminary impressions. Number 1 is you want to evaluate a patient's existing denture if they have one. All right. That is huge. That's key. Here is where we see and we understand bite patterns, their issues, and most importantly, their comfort levels. Okay, if they're getting a new denture, most likely it's their old denture has broken numerous times or it's worn down, and they just want a new one. Okay, so a lot of times the teeth alignment and where the top teeth come together, we call that a occlude, come together with your bottom teeth. A lot of times that's okay. And they've already grown custom to that fit, you know? So when that happens, we cannot reinvent the wheel. All right, if they already have something that's comfortable, use it. Absolutely use it. So with that being said, if they do have a denture, best thing to do is get a light body impression material, and you want to just put some of that inside the denture. Act as if it is a custom tray or stock tray. Another key, guys, when you're taking a reline and when you're taking a pickup impression of any kind, using their prosthesis, existing prosthesis, please put their mouth together. Don't use your fingers, don't use your thumb to kind of hold the prosthesis in their mouth. You could have a little bit more material on the left side than you do on the right. You can have a little bit more, or vice versa, and you could toggle that occlusal plane. You could, their teeth are straight and they're fine and they're great, but just by doing that, you can make it like that. You know, you can turn it, and you're never gonna know what the issue is. And what's gonna happen is you're gonna send it to the lab. You're gonna do a reline and have it back, and their occlusal plane is off, and the lab is you're pissed at the lab basically. It's not the lab's fault, okay? They're just, the lab, all they're doing is replacing that impression material with acrylic, and it's very, very rudimentary and simple to do. All right, so that's if they have an existing denture that you can grab some records off of. Sometimes you don't, you know, sometimes you don't have that. So if not, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the normal steps. So the first impression we're taking is an alginate impression. An alginate is used with a stock tray for a full upper denture. And what alginate is, for those who do not know, which I had to look up to see what it was made out of, to be honest with you, but it's a seaweed-based powder mixed with water to create a flexible, elastic kind of gel impression material. So it is a temporary use impression material. So you could only pour it one time. So again, it is a flexible, elastic gel. So when you pour an alginate impression, you want to go ahead and wet a paper towel and put it in a sandwich baggie. That's the best way to secure the mold. It's the mold of the impression, and keep its form. And this is a fun topic here. You don't have to pour it within 3 to 4 hours. I don't care what anyone says, as long as you wrap it with a wet paper towel and put it in the sandwich baggie. I have indeed took a case home to the lab and poured it the next day. So I will say this though, you have to make sure it is a very, very wet paper towel, and it's that sandwich baggie is closed. If it's not a very wet paper towel and that sandwich baggie is slightly open, it's going to dry up. All right. I would not go longer than 24 hours. I would absolutely not go longer than 24 hours. So yeah, as long as you wet that. So what that alginate impression does, it gives the lab just a basis. It's not the most detailed impression, okay? Detailed edentulous impression. It is an impression that gives the lab a good model to make a custom tray with. So when you are making a full denture, please make a custom tray. Please fabricate a custom tray so you can detail the borders. You can get vestibular coverage. All right. For those who do not know, you take your finger and pull your lip out and push up right where your finger stops. It's right where it stops, right between your gum and your cheek. That's your vestibule, and your vestibule runs all the way around your mouth, on the top, along the bottom, as well as the bottom on the inside, kind of underneath your tongue. That's considered, your lingual vestibule. But those areas are extremely, extremely important to fabricate a good denture. Even more importantly is avoiding the muscles, which we'll get into, that are in the midst of the vestibule area. Okay, so we have our first impression, okay, which is the alginate impression in the stock tray. Also, it's always great to take photos. I think every appointment we should take photos, okay? Actually, I know. Taking photos, especially if we're using any type of recording from their existing denture, is extremely, extremely important, okay? These small little details that I'm throwing in there at these appointments is what's going to save you chair time and money at your practice. 100%, I can guarantee it, all right? So photos is key. an imposing impression. I didn't mention that, but you definitely want to take an imposing impression. So that box then goes to the laboratory. The lab takes that, pours that impression, and will fabricate a custom tray. So when taking that first impression, like I mentioned, we used a stock tray. Stock tray is a plastic tray that you see in every dental clinic all over the world. It's just a plastic tray that comes normally in a small, medium, and large size, and it's a basic, form-fitting tray that should fit in most mouths. What a custom tray is, a custom tray looks like that stock tray, except it's made on the model from the alginate impression that was taken that first appointment. Okay, so when the lab gets the alginate impression, they'll take it out, they'll pour the model, and we'll fabricate a custom tray. The custom tray then can actually form fit that vestibule area that I mentioned and go around all the freedom muscles all around the mouth. Okay, you're actually creating you're starting to create with the custom tray, not the wax rim, okay, or the wax try-in. You're starting to create with the custom tray the form of the denture. It's very important. So custom tray is made, and with that custom tray, that's pretty quick to make. It goes into production. It should not take a laboratory longer than 3 days to make a custom tray, and that's long. All right. My case, my lab, I'm making it the same appointment, but I'm chairside, so I can do that. So custom tray goes back to the practice, and then they take that, and now they're ready for their final impression. So this is appointment 2. Patient comes back for appointment 2. They're in the chair, and a custom tray is made, and this time it is made with a PVS material, PVS impression material, not the alginate material. PVS stands for polyvinyl siloxane. Okay, and what it is, it's a very accurate, it's extremely accurate impression material used for final detail. So this way we can capture all the rugae, incisive papillas. We can capture Hammond notches, which are very important. We can absolutely capture the frenums, the muscles that are necessary to avoid when making a denture. So custom tray comes back, takes a PVS impression. That's appointment number 2. All right, then it goes back to the lab. All right, back to the lab. When that impression goes back to the lab, now we're going to pour that one. We're using this new model, and now we're going to fabricate a wax rim. Okay, so wax rim, I'm not going to go into details with that on how there is an absolute right way to make a wax rim and a wrong way to make a wax rim. Again, you're trying to replicate the patient's final prosthesis, final denture, even with the wax rim. All right, it's you can't just make this large block of wax to put in the patient's mouth. And I'm sorry, most times doctors don't know what to do with that. They're going to put it in their mouth. They're going to probably heat it up or cut it down and squish it, and maybe draw a little line for a midline, and that's it. But it doesn't give you any type of record for the buccal corridor and their final smile and size of wedge positioning. So anyhow, there is a right and wrong way. You'll see that in my curriculum on the right way to make a wax rim. And to be honest with you, doctors out there, you should be getting your girls to do custom trays and wax rims. I'm sorry, it's not that complicated. It doesn't take a lot of time. It cuts out that back and forth time. You have the patients waiting weeks and weeks for to get their denture back. Which I never, there's new ways of 2026. There's new ways of doing things. If I had a practice, hands down, I would be teaching one of my girls or guys. Forgive me. I'm sorry. Most practices you have girls as dental assistants, but I've seen them amazing male dental assistants. So forgive me. I'm going to say girls because I'm just accustomed to seeing girls in the practices. The first time I would send it out to a laboratory would be probably for the wax setup. Or the digital setup, but outside of that, it would stay in house for me. So, wax rim is made, then that goes back to the lab to the practice, and hands down, more photos. Okay, gotta take photos. All right. So now we are at appointment 3. Patient comes back. Now you have a wax rim in hand. and that goes in the patient's mouth. When the patient smiles, all they see is a pink rim. That is it. But that pink rim, you should basically see where the teeth are gonna go, just by them smiling with that wax rim in place. All right. When they smile, you should definitely see some triangles. That black triangle space, which is your buccal corridor on your left and right side, right around the wax rim. And then it's the doctors and their assistants' responsibility then to capture a really good midline on that wax rim. And what I love is a high smile line. That's very, very important. You can put canine markers as well, but that doesn't do much for me. What does more for me is that high smile line, the midline, and photos. Photos. Okay, so I want to see a photo of that high smile with the wax rim in place. Profile view of both of those. And that does it for me. Absolutely. So I can take that and really get those 6 interior teeth in the perfect spot. And as a technician, you should be able to do the same thing as well. Now with the wax rim, what I like to do is I like to place that in hot water just so it's soft. You know, I might place it in there for about 10 seconds or so, and then have them close to contact. Obviously where they feel comfortable. Now that wax, the height of the wax rim is extremely important. So if it's at the right size, 9 times out of 10, you're just getting that slight impression to contact, and your video is perfect. And that's exactly where it should be. It's going to differ whether the patient's a class 2, whether the patient's a class 3. I had a patient where their lower teeth came over that wax rim, the wax rim here came over it, and the wax rim was not touching a thing. So that was a little tough. So we had to make some adjustments and bulk out the wax rim so that we can get some contact there to get a point of contact for a bite registration. Then you want to get some blue mousse material. Doesn't have to be blue mousse. Okay, I actually prefer using a Regiseal, and it's a purple bite registration material. It's thinner, it's more flexible. It doesn't set up as fast, which is pretty cool. Sometimes if you leave blue mousse material inside the mouth too long, just because of the warmth of your mouth, before they even close, as you're squirting that in there, it's setting up, and then they bite down, and you have about 1 millimeter to 3 millimeters of space that leaves that bite open when mounting in the laboratory. So again, small little details that turn into normally 2, 3, 4 wax try-ins that shouldn't. So that blue mousse material, you want to squirt it in fast and get that patient to bite down. All right, and bite down to contact. And then that information, the bite registration with that wax rim, gets sent back to the laboratory. All right, that was appointment number 3. Don't forget the photos. Extremely, extremely important. All right, the lab now takes that wax rim with the registration and mounts the case. Here I have my mounting Artex that I use. There's all types of Stratuses, there's Dinars. Do not use a clapper. Do I have one here? I don't think so. So a metal clapper articulator is simply a 1-hinge metal articulator that a lot of labs use. I will use actually a metal a clapper for, you know, if I'm making an Essex or a flipper or I'm doing a repair. I'll absolutely throw that in there. Anyhow, you want to get it mounted on those type of articulators. I'm trying to forgive me, verbalize everything I'm talking about so that the normal population can understand what I'm saying. I want to try and remove a lot of dentistry lingo, if you want, you know. So I'm trying to, you know, get it down to a 3rd or 4th grade level, like my man Myron Golden taught me to do. So, all right, so it gets mounted on an articulator, and then set teeth. Now, as for the teeth itself, I prefer to choose the teeth according to the photos. Okay, just my preference as a lab. You know, I can see the patient. I can see the patient's size of face. I can see their whether male or female. There's an absolute difference in masculine and female setups. You technicians should know that. And yeah, and just the size of the patient and the age of the patient. Age of the patient is extremely important, you know. So I would prefer, from photos and from records that are given to me by the practice, to choose the mode for the patient. But if the doctor, does that, a lot of doctors do, that's fine, as long as you indicate that on the prescription, and then you take those teeth and you set the teeth in the wax. All right. So now appointment number 4. This goes back to the dental practice, and you have basically the denture in wax. It should be the denture. It should be the actual denture. Excuse me. Maybe aside from border extensions, with the base plate and whatnot. Had to put the lights back on, guys. All right, you guys who know me, I try so many chapsticks, and I don't know why. Burt's, it's the most expensive too. Get that. So if you see me, you want to gift me some Burt's Bees chapstick, I'll love you for life. All right, so this should be the last appointment before the final denture. You should not have the patient come back again for another wax try-in. It should not happen. Okay. If there's small adjustments that need to be made, sometimes with occlusion, maybe a couple of teeth need to be altered. All right. Take a bite registration of that. Don't change anything. Okay. If the doctor wants to change it, that's fine. But remember this: if the doc or an assistant is changing anything with the setup, you got to take a new bite registration, no matter what. Because what happens is you make the alterations to whatever teeth, you send it back to the lab just like that. Now the mounting that the lab has is incorrect, because they still have the mounting from appointment 3 with the bite rim and bite registration. So if you're making any changes, as a matter of fact, I would just take a new bite registration at this appointment before sending it back to the laboratory to finish the denture. Take another, because something can change when that denture is in the mouth. Just the warmth of the mouth. If they're in there and they're fat, and their husband or wife or kids are in the room with them, looking at the wax setup, things can change because of the warmth of their mouth. If it sits in there too long, that wax, believe it or not, can melt just slightly to where it closes that vertical, so where it closes it just a little bit, even if it's 1 to 2 millimeters, and now the bite's off. And now the bite's off according to what the lab has. So at that wax try-in phase, very important, please take another bite registration. Take photos. Again, very important at that wax try-in phase. Profile shots, high smiles, even with them just talking. I like those types of photos or videos. That all works, okay? So new bite registration, and then that wax setup goes back to the lab, and then appointment number 5, which is really sad to say. A lot of practices, most practices, that's 10 weeks. 2 weeks between every appointment. At appointment number 5 for the final insertion. It shouldn't be that long. Removables lab here in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, in Marietta, does not take that long. I have a specific patent pending workflow that breaks that whole mantra. The reason people, you're going back to a dental practice multiple times for either wax try-in or appointments that you probably don't know what's going on, but listening to this video, you're gonna know. But the reason why you keep going back is simply because very, very important steps were missed. And too many hands in the pot, which causes miscommunication. Okay, if you listen to this video, you'll understand that one of these key points of those appointments were missed. All right, take it back to if you're getting full denture made, take it to your dentist and play back and show go to wherever it is in the video and say, did you get this? Hey, Rich said you need to do this. Did you get this? I would like this done. Feel free. I don't. That's what needs to be done. Guys pay too much money for these restorations. So you should be in that chair the least amount of time as possible, and you should be getting a denture that feels good, that fits good, and that you can wear for a very, very long time. So yeah, there we have it. All right. Excuse me. Why the Chairtime? That's why.